It's a late night in Singapore. A Singaporean man named Richard Lee sits in front of his laptop. On the other end of the call, an American tech startup is eager to meet its candidate. Richard's resume is flawless, a prestigious degree, glowing references, and years at a respected tech firm. He has the perfect backstory too, explaining that he flew back to Singapore to care for his elderly parents, but plans to return to Los Angeles in a few months. Until then, he's happy to work remotely. He speaks fluent English, nails the technical questions, and negotiates salary with the confidence of someone who knows his worth. To the interviewer, everything seems normal. On paper and on screen, Richard is the dream candidate. Hardworking, family-oriented, and conveniently positioned across time zones. But here's the truth. The man smiling politely on that video call isn't Singaporean at all. In fact, he is not even Richard Lee. He's a North Korean operative, part of a carefully orchestrated scheme to infiltrate companies worldwide. Within minutes, he'll secure a lucrative job, and every paycheck he earns will quietly be funneled back to Pyongyang. For years, North Korea has perfected the art of stolen identities, hijacking names and documents from Singapore, the US, and beyond. Their mission is simple: get hired, get paid, and bankroll the regime. This is the story of stolen identities like Richard Lee, forged from hacked data, powered by false credentials, and used by North Korea to infiltrate the world. Singapore may be small, but in the global economy, it punches far above its weight. The city-state is a trusted financial hub, a thriving tech center, and home to a highly educated English-speaking workforce. In the world of remote hiring, a Singaporean resume or passport is often seen as a shorthand for competence and credibility. Employers rarely question it, and North Korea knows this. Pyongyang's operatives have zeroed in on that reputation, using Singapore as a mask. To an HR manager, a developer based in Singapore raises none of the red flags that might come with applicants from less stable or sanctioned countries. At the same time, a darker trend has been unfolding. Cybercriminal forums on the dark web have become flooded with stolen Singaporean data, passports, NRICs, and even biometric details like fingerprints and selfies. In mid-2024, threat intelligence firm Resecurity reported a 230% surge in vendors selling Singaporean identity data. Some documents went for as little as $8. For North Korean operatives, these leaks are a goldmine. With a stolen NRIC or passport in hand, they can craft entirely new personas that carry the weight of Singapore's global credibility. Resecurity warns these IDs are highly coveted by nation-state and foreign actors. And indeed, investigations show that North Korean state-sponsored groups working with criminal collaborators have used stolen Singaporean identities to apply for remote IT jobs at major US corporations. From a strategic standpoint, Singapore is the perfect disguise. A stable US ally, a country associated with strict governance, and a population trusted worldwide. That makes its good name an ideal shield for North Korea's deception, but reputation alone isn't enough. To turn that disguise into reality, operatives needed to manufacture entire personas, complete with documents, resumes, and stories believable enough to fool any recruiter. So we've seen how Singapore's credibility has become the perfect disguise. But here's the problem. If fraudsters can pass through standard checks so easily, how do companies defend themselves? That's where today's sponsor, Sumsub, comes in. Sumsub isn't just building verification tools, they're building a front line for professionals around the world. And this November 19th to 20th, that front line comes together at the What the Fraud Summit 2025 in Singapore's Andaz Hotel. It's the first summit of its kind, uniting leaders across fraud, crypto, compliance, cyber, and AI security. Senior voices from Revolut, Standard Chartered, Crypto.com, HSBC, Coinbase, UBS, EY, and more are joining forces to connect the dots and fight back together. These aren't passive talks, they're immersive, certification-backed workshops that throw you into the reality of modern fraud. In Inside the Fraud Kitchen, you'll actually cook up deepfakes before learning how to spot them. In secure onboarding, you'll rebuild flows to stop attacks without slowing users. And in AML case management, you'll tackle real investigations, anomaly by anomaly. Over 4,000 companies companies already trust Sumsub to protect their businesses. This November, the next chapter is being written, and you can be in the room. Tickets are limited. Secure yours today with code RDR10 for 10% off. Link in the description. So how does a North Korean operative become a fake Singaporean, or for that matter, a fake American, Canadian, or any other identity that suits the mission? The answer: through a meticulous, almost theatrical construction of a synthetic persona. Let's peel back the layers of how agents like Richard Lee are made. It starts with stolen data. North Korean units acquire caches of personal information from black markets, the kind of leaked data that includes passports, ID cards, addresses, and even selfie photos used for verification. Armed with a real person's particulars, operatives can blend fact and fiction. They often borrow a genuine name or ID number from one victim, a home address from another, and perhaps a university degree from a third. Next comes forgery. The leaked documents are just the starting point. Any gaps are filled with fabricated papers. Need a work permit or diploma? There are templates for that. Investigators uncovered that North Korean operatives had access to entire websites offering realistic fake IDs, from US driver's licenses to visas and passports, which they used to build out their false identities. One leaked trove of documents contained a forged US green card bearing the name Richard Lee, matching the Singapore-based persona introduced in our intro. But documents alone won't land a job. For that, you need a professional footprint. The North Korean playbook includes crafting convincing online profiles and resumes for their personas. According to Reuters, a cache of internal files from Pyongyang's IT worker program revealed dozens of fraudulent resumes, LinkedIn profiles, and even interview notes used by these operatives. They list years of fake work experience at legitimate companies, even purchasing hacked or dormant LinkedIn accounts to make the profile look established. In Richard's case, investigators found a LinkedIn page with his name and photo, claiming he worked for a well-known identity verification firm. The firm confirmed they never employed such a person. The LinkedIn page was a sham. With a solid resume in hand, the operatives rehearse for the critical moment, the job interview. Here, North Korea's choreography truly shines. They have prepared coaching scripts for every question imaginable. When Palo Alto Networks, a US cybersecurity firm, stumbled on leaked training materials, they discovered 30 pages of Q&A scripts teaching these fake candidates how to ace interviews. The scripts cover everything: how to talk about teamwork, how to describe past projects, even how to explain why you're looking for remote work. Remember Richard's touching story about flying to Singapore to care for his ailing parents? That wasn't off the cuff. It was literally written in a script given to North Korean operatives. These operatives memorize the lines, learn just enough workplace jargon, and even practice feigning the easy confidence of a Silicon Valley programmer. Until now, the imposters use VPNs and proxy servers to spoof their location, making it appear as if Richard Lee really is logging in from Singapore or Los Angeles or wherever his profile claims. They often shy away from live video calls. A weak internet excuse goes a long way, and stick to voice or chat. Anything to prevent a hiring manager from noticing that the face on the ID doesn't quite match the person on the call. However, when video is unavoidable, the deception ratchets up to a whole new level. Enter the deepfake. In 2025, reports emerged that North Korean operatives had started using real-time deepfake video technology to literally mask their faces during interviews. Software now makes it possible. With just a decent PC and publicly available AI tools, Pyongyang's agents can project a synthesized face over their own in a live call, matching the stolen ID they provided. The deepfakes give them two big advantages. First, one operative can juggle several fake identities at once, interviewing for multiple jobs as entirely different candidates. Second, even if one persona gets exposed and flagged in a security bulletin, the real individual remains physically unseen, ready to pop up again under a new alias. All these elements, forged papers, stolen Singaporean credentials, polished online personas, scripted interviews, and even deepfake disguises, come together to breathe life into a phantom employee. By the time a company says you're hired, they believe they found a skilled Singaporean engineer who simply prefers remote work. In truth, They've welcomed a North Korean operative into their systems. The agent must then perform convincingly, earn a steady paycheck, and quietly channel the money back to Pyongyang, all while avoiding suspicion. Once a fake Singaporean is hired, the scheme shifts from impersonation to exploitation. The North Korean operative is now inside the target company, writing code, managing databases, or whatever the job entails, but their true mission is twofold: earn money for the regime, and if possible, open doors for further infiltration. This is where the innocent trust given to a remote employee gets weaponized on a global scale. First, let's follow the money. Every paycheck that Richard Lee earns, whether it's a wire transfer, a direct deposit, or a cryptocurrency payment, is destined ultimately for Pyongyang. North Korea has engineered a complex funnel to make sure funds from these remote jobs get back home, despite international sanctions. The operatives themselves are often stationed in countries like China or Russia. They usually can't receive payment directly into North Korea, so instead they route it through front companies, middlemen, or even enlist collaborators in the target country to help launder the money. One remarkable example is the case of Christina Chapman, an American woman from Arizona who became a key player in this global pipeline. Chapman was not North Korean, but she agreed to work with North Korean operatives as their on-the-ground facilitator in the US. From 2020 to 2023, she helped a cell of North Korean IT workers masquerading as Americans and other nationals to siphon away millions of dollars. She ran what investigators dubbed a laptop farm out of her own home. When companies hired these fake remote employees, they often shipped the new hire a corporate laptop or security token. Chapman would receive those laptops in Arizona, sometimes dozens of them, and set them up in her house, connected to the internet 24/7. Operatives sitting half a world away would then remotely log into the machines via tools like Chrome Remote Desktop or TeamViewer. To the employer's IT department, it looked like their new Singaporean or American employee's device was regularly connecting from US soil, as it should. Chapman's role went beyond managing laptops. She became the regime's paymaster in America. Using more than 60 stolen or synthetic US identities, she opened bank accounts, set up job seeker profiles, and laundered salaries for North Korean operatives. Over 3 years, her network defrauded 300 companies. From a top TV network to an aerospace manufacturer, in the end, Chapman was caught, convicted, and sentenced to 8.5 years in prison for her role in the conspiracy. And Chapman's case isn't unique. Multiple reports suggest that North Korea actively recruits people like her in Singapore and around the world to support these schemes, turning unwitting citizens into cogs in a global fraud machine. But money isn't the only objective. Access is just as valuable. These fake hires often land roles with deep privileges, writing source code, managing servers, or maintaining databases. The trust placed in an ordinary engineer could, in reality, rest in the hands of a North Korean military unit. A developer could plant backdoors, siphon data, or, if ordered, unleash ransomware, capable of crippling entire organizations. The US Justice Department has already flagged cases where North Korean IT workers exploited their access to crypto firms. Finally, the scheme thrives on the openness of remote work. The same system that lets a startup in California hire a coder in Singapore also lets a North Korean imposter slip in unseen. With Singaporean data now among the most traded on the dark web, its credibility has become the perfect disguise. What looks like a resume can be a weapon. Any identity, even yours, can be stolen, repurposed, and turned into a tool of espionage.